A teenager in a relationship with a woman in her 20s killed her 4-year-old daughter, saying the child had bitten him. An Indiana jury convicted Christian Gonzalez of murder, and now the girl's mother, Destiny Rhoades, is set to stand trial next. We're speaking with the victim's grandmother about Gonzalez's trial and what happens next. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Hey everybody, this is a Law&Crime legal alert. Did you know that children are being diagnosed with serious conditions like type 2 diabetes and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and the research is potentially linking ultra-processed foods to this? Yeah, well, Morgan & Morgan is stepping in to fight to hold these food companies accountable. With decades of experience fighting large corporations, they are ready to stand up for families who deserve justice. So if your child under 21 has been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes or fatty liver disease, then visit www.forthepeople.com/food to learn more. It is a strange and disturbing case out of Evansville, Indiana, because police say their 23-year-old Destiny Rhoades was living with and dating a 16-year-old boy who she would allow to watch after her 4-year-old daughter when she went to work. And that is a decision that would be a fatal one. Because in June of 2024, 4-year-old Octavia Aquino died from blunt force trauma to the head and neck. While Rhoades was at her job at McDonald's, Rhoades' friend and roommate called 911 reporting that Octavia was limp and not breathing. According to a supplemental report from Evansville police, that little girl was blue and cold to the touch when paramedics arrived. She was rushed to the hospital, she was put on life support, and she died 2 days later on June 16th. Back at that apartment, police were trying to untangle what is a very complicated living situation because 2 women were the listed tenants. They had allowed their sister to stay with them for a week. Plus, Rhoades and Octavia had been living there for a while, too. And Rhoades' boyfriend, 16-year-old Christian Gonzalez, also moved in. That is a lot of people. You have to be thinking that this is multiple people who could have seen the abuse that Gonzalez was inflicting upon Octavia and seemingly, just didn't do anything to stop it? Not entirely clear what happened. But police, they find Gonzalez at the apartment, hiding upstairs in a bathroom. He and a roommate told police that his name was Alex, that he was 20 years old. That was a lie. A background check revealed he was Christian Gonzalez, a teen reported missing from Fort Wayne. And police also discovered that Rhoades had been arrested just a few months before for helping Gonzalez escape from a juvenile detention facility. A protective order was put in place to protect Gonzalez from Rhoades, but he was living with her in Evansville. Now, when it came to Octavia, Rhoades had apparently had full custody of her, but was unofficially sharing custody with Octavia's biological father. And in June of 2024, Octavia was staying with her mother. During a police interview, Rhoades had admitted that she would sometimes leave Octavia alone with Gonzalez and that he would swat her hand or take away her tablet as a form of discipline. The roommates were also interviewed by police. One said that on June 13th, she came downstairs and noticed Octavia had concerning marks on her neck. She asked Gonzalez about it. He reportedly told her that a cat had scratched her. There was also bruising on Octavia's neck, and the roommate noticed that there was a bite mark on Octavia's arm. At one point, Octavia was throwing up. So the roommate took Octavia to McDonald's to report all of this to Rhoades, and the police report states that Octavia herself told her mom that Gonzalez had bitten her and placed his hand over her mouth. Now, Rhoades reportedly came home, confronted Gonzalez about what happened, but he really wouldn't admit to anything. And then she and the roommate decided to lie and tell Gonzalez that there was a camera in the living room that had caught everything. So Gonzalez then allegedly admitted to biting Octavia on the arm because he says the 4-year-old had bit him first. This is according to the police report. For the rest of the day, the roommates and Rhoades said Octavia was acting off. So they take her to the park. She didn't want to play. Instead, reportedly was staring off into space, acting lethargic. She also didn't want to eat. And despite the reports of Gonzalez hurting this child, Rhoades went out to get food later that night, leaving Octavia with this 16-year-old. But says another one of the roommates was also home at the time. Now, Rhoades says that she saw Octavia that night on her tablet, believes the girl went to sleep at around 1 a.m. Rhoades says she went to work the next morning, once again, leaving Octavia with Gonzalez. And I want you to take a listen to what investigators say they learned from Rhoades during a police interview. Quote, I confirmed that Destiny had seen the injuries on the victim's neck on June 13th. When I asked Destiny about the injuries to the victim's neck, she admitted that it appeared that the male had most likely grabbed her around the neck with his hand. When I asked why her daughter had thrown up, she said that it was most likely due to her being anxious Destiny agrees that this could have been because her daughter had just been strangled and bit by the male. When I asked Destiny why she had decided to leave her daughter with the male after learning about the prior abuse, she explained that she didn't believe anything bad would happen because the male believed there was a camera in the living room. When I asked Destiny why she didn't call the police to report the abuse, she said that she wanted to. She also said that she was worried about what would happen to the male because he was only 16 years old. She was concerned that he would be removed from her. She eventually admitted that she was concerned that either she or the male would get in trouble. I asked if she was concerned that the male would hurt the child again. Destiny said because of this incident, she told the male that he needed to go back home. When I asked why the discussion happened the night before, she stated it was because of her daughter. Destiny said that she had tried to get the male to go home several times, but that he was, quote, a very manipulative child, and she loved him as a son. Now, Rhoades had had marijuana in her system at the time of her arrest, and Gonzalez had told police that he would test positive too. That's according to the police report. And at first, Gonzalez was charged with battery resulting in serious bodily injury, but that was later changed and amended to felony murder when Octavia died. So it was upgraded. And after a 4-day trial in adult court earlier this month, a jury convicted him. Sentencing is scheduled for February 13th. And according to Indiana law, someone who commits murder can be sentenced anywhere to 45 years to life in prison, or there's the potential of the death penalty. But I will tell you, because he was 16 when he killed Octavia, Gonzalez is not eligible for capital punishment. As for Destiny Rhoades, she still faces her own charges of contributing to the delinquency of a minor when that minor commits murder, neglect of a dependent resulting in death, and invasion of privacy. Now, we didn't have access to Gonzalez's criminal history because of his age, but we checked into Rhoades' background, and her criminal history is quite extensive. Now, we went on Truthfinder, the powerful background checker. We typed in her name plus the state where she lives, Indiana, and not only does she face charges of neglect of a dependent, but also a charge of contributing to the delinquency of a minor for that juvie escape back in February of 2024 when Gonzalez was 15. Plus, there's also multiple traffic infractions over the last several years, like speeding and driving with a suspended license. And Law&Crime, we partner with Truthfinder. We use it all the time to get details on the people involved in our stories. But even if you don't work in true crime, this just can be an excellent resource to give you some peace of mind. It's one of the largest public record search services in the United States. And with a paid subscription service, you can get access to unlimited reports about almost anyone. So if you're interested right now, you can get 50% off of your first month of confidential background reports. You just go to truthfinder.com/LC-SIDEBAR. All right, I want to bring back on Linda Alvarez. This is Octavia's paternal grandmother, who we had on last time when we talked about Octavia's story. It's so good to see you again, Linda. Thanks so much for taking the time. First,
thank you.
Of course, before we even get into the legal case about what's happening, there is a board behind you. It's the pink board. I was just hoping you could show everybody what the board is and why you have that.
Trying to get it.
No, we see it.
There we go.
Beautiful pictures of Octavia.
Yeah, it's just a canvas painting that I had made of her. I had to choose my own pictures and just ordered it and had it sent here.
She is so beautiful. For those of you who haven't seen our conversation last time, if you could just start by explaining a little bit more about who Octavia was, what she was like, I think that becomes the most important thing during the course of this case.
Okay. Well, she was my granddaughter. She was 4 at the time. She was a very happy little independent, spunky little girl. She was definitely a little princess. She loved to do dress-ups. She really loved playing with her toys. She loved going to the park. Her favorite TV shows were ones like My Little Pony, definitely Powerpuff Girls. She was obsessed with Powerpuff Girls. And she was, I tell everybody, she was my little ray of sunshine.
I love the picture I'm looking here. I love the picture of her in the glasses, the oversized glasses.
I know, so adorable.
Yeah, she's really...
She was a hoot.
What was your time like when you were spending with her? What was granddaughter time?
It was amazing. I had her quite often. She practically lived with me during the week and would be with her dad on the weekends when my son and her mom had separated. It was just awesome. She was just such a joy to be around. Grandma, just so full of excitement. And I mean, it was just fun to take her places, fun to do things with her, just watching her play. And I mean, it was literally like the highlight of my day, just being around her all the time.
I appreciate you sharing a little bit more details about Octavia, because none of us had the opportunity to meet her or know her. But based on our last conversation and what I've read and talking to you now, she just sounded like such an amazing little girl. Since the last time we spoke, some things have changed. Now that Gonzalez has been convicted, how do you feel about that?
I'm happy. I'm overwhelmed with joy that she's going to get the justice that she deserves, and I hope at sentencing he gets the maximum and spends the rest of his life in prison like he deserves. He shouldn't get to live a normal life. We don't. She doesn't. She doesn't get to live at all.
Were you in the courtroom for his trial?
Yeah, absolutely.
What was that like?
Every emotion that you can possibly think of, just all of them, all at once, just beyond overwhelming. It was so hard to not just have complete and total meltdowns the entire time, but I stayed strong for my son and listened to the state put on an amazing case, read the body language of the jurors, and, just prayed that, they saw everything that we saw.
Did you have to testify?
Just very briefly. It was just identifying her picture, giving a little background of who she was and, what she meant to us and little things like that. I was the first person to actually testify.
What was his defense like, and what was your reaction to their defense?
They literally were trying to play it like she overdosed on cough medicine, because her toxicology screening of her urine came back where she had a little bit of the active ingredient in a children's cough syrup. There was empty bottle of cough syrup in box found at the apartment. That was their defense. Or that it could have been 8-9-week-old kitten that they had, because the kitten supposedly scratched her before and had done some other things. It was crazy. And, the prosecutor and everybody was pretty much like, for one, a kitten, if it was to bite you, even he had admitted to the bite marks and everything at one point anyway. But a kitten, their teeth are sharp. It's going to puncture you. It's, going to make you bleed. It's not going to leave a round human-sized mouth mark. And cough medicine doesn't beat you up and leave bruises all over your body.
Yeah, no, it really doesn't. And when you don't have a lot to work with, you try to figure out what the best defense will be. What was it like seeing him in that courtroom?
I was just disgusted. I wanted to yell at him and just say things that I wanted to say and that I knew I just couldn't say. It was just really hard having to look at him every day while I was there. Yeah, it just.
Are you going to speak at his sentencing? And if so, what do you think you're going to say?
I've been kind of like just writing down little notes so I can put it all together and exactly like a letter form type thing of things that I want to say. Obviously there's things that we can't say at court that I would love to say to him. The biggest thing is how I will never forgive him and how I don't understand how he could possibly, I'll never understand how he could do what he did and why he did what he did. Like, what could a 4-year-old possibly do to make you so upset to do the things that you did to her? I'll never understand. And that I hope that he suffers in prison every day for the rest of his life, because my family suffers every day by not having her here.
We have Destiny's trial coming up next. What are your thoughts on that trial? Is this another one that you will be required to testify? Are you going to attend every day of it? Talk to us about that one.
I'm not 100% sure if I have to testify. I'm sure I will. Absolutely will be there. Emotions are really high for this trial because I actually had a relationship with Destiny because she dated my son for 7 years. She was the mother of my grandchild. I loved her like a daughter. So this one I feel as though is going to be a little bit harder because I'm emotionally attached to it.
One of the things I was wondering during the course of these trials, during the course of this investigation, whether it's from prosecutors or law enforcement or the defendants, it sounds like you're not, but are you getting the answers that you may have been looking for as to what happened to Octavia?
Not really. The final death certificate came back as could not be determined. So we don't even have an exact answer as into how she died. Listening to all the doctors testify, every single doctor pretty much said that they believe that it was shaken baby syndrome. There was a massive amount of blood behind of her eyes, so much so that literally would have been blind. And that one doctor testified that the amount of blood that was behind her eyes, that when he was examining them, he couldn't even see her retinas or something that he was looking for behind the eyes. And that the only thing that causes that is being shaken violently. There's about 2 or 3 other things that can cause that, but they also cause instant death, like falling out of a 10-story building and hitting concrete, getting in a severe car accident, getting thrown out the window and into a tree and your head getting bashed, or, somebody literally beating you to death, with a baseball bat or something. So those are like instant. There wasn't like a lot of brain trauma. They said that there was the brain swelling, and that could have been caused multiple ways. Him choking her and causing like a lack of oxygen and then stopping, or it could have been from she had already passed before the police had gotten there, and then because the paramedics and the hospital were able to revive her, and the blood flow back to the body could have caused the brain to swell then. So there's still a lot of unanswered questions. I mean, there was the visible fingerprint marks embedded in her throat. So, I mean, it is obvious that he choked her at some point. I mean, did he choke her until she stopped breathing? We don't know. Did he choke her and shake her violently at the same time? I mean, he could have done that. We don't know.
It's horrifying and unimaginable to think about what happened to Octavia. And I think the best way to end this is to say, let's try to avoid thinking about that and thinking more about the pictures behind you of Octavia. That should be the image that everybody has. And with that in mind, Linda, if people want to help in any which way, what can they do to help you and the family?
Biggest thing is prayer. I really believe in that, and that it helps. Yeah, I do enjoy getting messages from people, just, the kind words and thoughts. If they do go to my Facebook page or whatever, I have made posts, and as Destiny's trial gets a little bit closer, depending on our financial status at the time, I may make another one then to see if we could get like financial help with the hotel stay and stuff like that. People were very amazing and helped us out with this pass, because Evansville is 5 hours from where we live. So, not only when we go down there are we missing time from work, we have the gas expense, we have to get a hotel, we have to pay for food while we're there. So, it kind of adds up, and that's for me and my son.
Yeah.
And so, things like that, it's very helpful, and we really appreciate it. Like the amount of love and support that I've gotten from my community, it has been like overwhelming. Like I had people that sent money to help pay for the hotel. I had people that, offered to buy us groceries to make sure that we ate. And a lady, before we even left, dropped off a gas card. It means a lot. It really does help. And, like I said, just keep her in our thoughts and prayers. And as far as Destiny's trial goes, I don't know in my heart exactly how I feel and want like for her sentencing and outcome to be, but just pray that whatever it should be happens.
It's very reassuring and great to hear that in some of the darkest moments of tragedy, you see the best of humanity. And I'm so happy that people are there supporting you and the family. And hopefully people who watch this will come in and help you as well. Linda Alvarez, thank you so much. I'm so sorry for your loss. I'm so sorry for what you're going through. And you always have an open spot here if you want to come on and tell us the latest.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much, Jesse.
All right, everybody, that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. I'll speak to you next time.